And when we can show up as our authentic selves and just, I don't care what people think of me anymore. And that's a beautiful gift, right? And if nothing else matters, just love who you are. And it's not selfish to love who you are. It's a beautiful thing to figure out who you are, because when you love yourself, you can be authentic with people and draw the right people to you.
Hello and welcome to a Lifelong Love Affair podcast. I'm your host, Lana Carius, and I'm so glad to have you here with me today. My goal is to help you create and manifest the lifelong love affair you desire and deserve to have. No matter where you are in your love journey, you are in the right place. In today's episode, I have Sarah Hanley as a guest. She is a wonderful mom. She has 2 incredible children, and she has recently created a series of books to help children improve their lives and love themselves more and have amazing and beautiful relationships. She is a very inspiring woman. She has a lot of energy. She's very outgoing, and she is driven by helping children and moms and dads find self-love, improve their relationships, and create gratitude in their lives, true gratitude in their lives. And so today we are discussing her lifelong love affair journey with herself and with her children, and how she has decided not only to write books to help her children, but also to help other moms, other dads support their children as well in their life love journey. And I am so excited to have her on today. Let's get started. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm awesome. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming. I'm so excited to have you here because you have such a special gift to share to the world. And it's actually perfect because it relates to lifelong love affairs. And today we're going to be focusing on a lifelong love affair with yourself, which is a very important foundation to true love, and also amazing and beautiful relationships with people around you and your children and your family. So I'm excited to have you on and to share this with our listeners. So why don't you start by introducing yourself and maybe telling us a little bit about you?
Yeah, I'm Sarah. I live near Toronto, Canada. I have 2 beautiful children, and I started this journey a couple of years ago. I separated from my husband, and I was in a really dark place at the time. I didn't know what to do, where I do it, but I felt like something was missing inside of me. And we're always looking for external sources, right? Like that's just what we do. We look for everything else in the world that could fix us, like that magic pill or the special, some book that's going to be like, that's it. That's the one that's going to change my life. And I didn't realize that I was really missing the self-love, the self-worth, the self-value that I had inside of myself. And, I started the journey once, I joined a program called Millionaire where we met. And I was like, I'm going to manifest millions of dollars. And that was what I thought I was going to do. But really what I did was heal the inside of myself.
Yeah.
And that was the priceless thing that I learned, right? Like, oh, something's not missing. I'm just not getting it right now. And I need to figure out what is inside me that, needs to be healed. And it was just loving yourself and how important that was. Yeah. Right. Like, and people don't even understand it until you go on that journey and figure out like, oh, if I love myself enough, you see the world in a totally new perspective. And I mean, from 2 years ago, people that know me now, like I was with my cousin last night and she's like, you're just lighter. Like she's like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just like, you're lighter. And that's because I just love myself. I love life. I love being able to see from a perspective that's, knowing that I'm just always good enough. I'm
Yeah.
more than enough. I'm not just good enough, I'm more than enough for this world. And that's what I've learned, and that's who I am.
Yeah. And you're amazing and you matter,
That's right.
right? And you're important and you're valuable. So, and for anyone, by the way, listening, wondering what Millionaire is, it's a program that Kathleen Cameron actually created. And it's really all about creating your millionaire version, which is basically feeling your millionaire self, your true millionaire self. And that's not related to money, but it's really related to how you feel within.
Right, your
So,
self-image,
whenever,
right? Like how you project
exactly.
yourself to the world, right?
Yeah.
Like it's yeah.
Yeah. So I love it when I wake up in the morning and I look at myself and I think, do I feel like my millionaire version today? And the answer sometimes is yes, sometimes is no. And when it's no, you figure out why. And
Right.
when it's yes, you're like, bingo,
Yeah,
let's
I
go.
got this today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. And it's really all about elevating yourself. And this is something I love. And I've seen you on your journey or part of your journey. And you've grown and you're not only lighter every single time we talk or you share something, you have so many beautiful golden nuggets, you share so many amazing insights,
Well, thank you.
and you really encourage every single person around you.
I try, and
Yeah.
I feel like because I was in such a space, like I was a stay-at-home mom, I didn't have anybody around me. And then
Yeah.
I joined this community and I learned how to be vulnerable with other people. I
Mhm.
learned how to just be who I was. And when we can show up as our authentic selves and just, I don't care what people think of me anymore. And that's a beautiful gift,
Mhm.
right? And if we can start teaching people at a younger age to do that, like think how much better their lives are, right? So
Yeah.
I try to share a piece of myself with every person, and you're going to get me if you like me or you don't. And that's okay because your perspective of me doesn't bother me. And
Yes.
that's an amazing thing to give yourself as well.
That's true love.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly it. And vulnerability is a strength in itself.
Yes.
We think of vulnerability as being a weakness, but it's actually a strength.
It is. Yeah.
It's just a different strength.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, being
um,
able to open yourself up, because then you're not scared of judgments. You're not scared of any of that stuff, right? Because if you're just showing up as who you are, like there's nothing people can come and say to you that's ever going to matter, right? Like, not that it doesn't matter what people think of you, but I don't think it matters really what people think of me, because that's their opinion of me from the perspective they're seeing me at the time. And I don't know what kind of energy they're coming in with to see me at, because some people don't like cheery Sarah. That's okay. Right. But I'm not always cheery either. I'm a human having a human experience. Right.
yes,
So, and I mean, if we can just show up and realize we're all coming from different angles and different places, and, just love yourself enough that what other people say or do doesn't affect you. And you can just be in this neutral zone where, you love who you are and the rest of the world will follow.
exactly. And the more you love yourself, the better you're going to become because you're going to become
Right.
a better version of you.
Exactly.
There you go. That's so beautiful. Okay, and you have children as well, right, Sarah?
I do. I have two children, two beautiful. I have a little girl and a
Yay.
little boy.
Yeah. And we were talking about patience earlier, and I was saying how patient you are. And I think this is beautiful because as a mom, you really learn to develop that part of you. And I just wonder, actually, speaking of patience, if this is something that you've learned to develop for yourself as part
It
of your.
is. I didn't have I was very, like, even with my kids, I didn't love myself, so I was always in this frequency or vibration where I was like anxiety. I guess it was an anxious, vibe all the
Yeah.
time. And it was because I was searching, like, where I'm always looking in the future, what's going to be happening. And it's like I couldn't just be sit in the present,
Mm,
right? And be in that moment. And now, Like I used to be on anxiety medication too, and I'm on nothing because
Wow.
I realized I was always looking for something for the future, always in that space, always thinking go, 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 go. And I just realized if I just sit, like right now, this is all I need to be doing. I need to be sitting here with you. And that's what I'm doing. I don't need to be thinking of my appointments that I have later today. That's not where I am. I'm right here in this moment. And this is the only moment I can control. So this is where I am.
That's so amazing.
Right. Like,
Oh,
yeah, like it's
I
just
love
you
it.
have to be able to sit and be in the present and just enjoy it while we're here.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. That's so, so beautiful. Okay, so um, you have written books
I have.
about and that actually is inspired by your journey and the fact that you, if I'm not mistaken, you wanted to do it also for your children. Is that
Yeah.
correct? So
Yes.
why don't you share with us a little bit about your your journey, but how also it came about to creating those books?
All right. Well, my first book, you want me to show them?
Sure, I really want to
Okay.
see them.
First book is Love You, and it's about self-love because I was so inspired by how much just knowing to love myself changed me as a person. I was like, God, children need this. And my daughter, I was like, I felt like she was always looking for outside sources too, validation from her friends and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, honey, you just got to love yourself first. Right. So I wrote her this book initially and I just made it on Canva and I was like, I'm going to give her this book and print it off. And then I showed it to my cousin and she's like, well, actually, a couple of people, like my sister and my mom, and they're just like, you need to get this book out there. Like, people need to realize they need to love themselves first. And I was like, they do. And that's why I wrote the book for my daughter, right? So I was like, okay, I'll put that book out. And then I showed it to my cousin and she runs a youth center, right? So she's always dealing with kids. And she's like, I love your book, but what about healthy relationships? Because she has constant relationship conversations with kids. So then I wrote The Good and the Bad, a youth guide to recognizing healthy relationships. And I mean, even for ourselves as adults, like I'm just learning now, really, about all of the stuff that I should have known, like red flags. I should have been like, oh, like I can follow the path of red flags through my life. And I'm like, oh, I should have seen those. But I didn't because I didn't know what to look for. So that's really why I wrote this book. And then, but I also wrote for my daughter because she was being bullied and I needed her to see, what's healthy at school,
Yeah,
right? So then after all of it, I mean, you got to throw out the gratitude because if we're not grateful, right? Like, and that's why I've written this book. I'm actually starting another book, but I really feel like I had to be grateful for the books that I was so grateful that I came up with those ideas and that they flowed to me. I was like, we got to throw some gratitude in there and teach the kids that too, because if we're not living a life of gratitude, we're not
yeah,
appreciating the world we're going through. We're not going to align with the healthy relationships or be able to love ourselves enough if we're not grateful for everything that's around us. So yeah, so I
that's so
really feel
true.
like these are the building books, right? Like, because I mean, you can't just jump to Neville Goddard because I've tried. You know what I mean? And it's like you're in that book and you're like, what is he saying? Like, I have absolutely no idea. But if we can teach children early
Yeah,
all of these things, they're going to grow up and be like, oh, I know what he's saying because it's
exactly.
already part of their repertoire. It's part of, they already know,
Yeah, they understand it. Yeah,
right? Like, and
absolutely.
they have the knowledge and all of that to bring forward and be like, oh, so now it's a lifelong journey. It's not just something you get to when, like, for me, I'm in my 40s and I was just like, ooh, I feel like I should have learned that as a kid,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. This is definitely something that should be taught from an
Yeah.
early age.
They're
Yeah,
life essentials that should be started in kindergarten. Like, I really
yeah,
believe that. Like, yeah, math's great. Do I, science, fantastic. I get it. But it's not something I'm using every day. Well, I guess I do, but it's not,
to
I'm
teach
going
your
to learn.
kids.
I need to love myself. Yeah. I need to love myself. And if I had known that, there's a lot of decisions I would have made differently in my life.
Yeah, that's true. I agree.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
A lot
Yeah.
of people I would have been like, ooh, they're not healthy.
Yes.
Right.
And a lot of unhealthy people would that actually wouldn't even have gone that route.
Yeah, and once you're all that, and then you can be grateful. Like I can look back now on past situations because I'm in the awareness of it. I mean, a lot of people don't know what that means, but like because I know, I can look back at different situations in my life, and not only like the unhealthy things, but when I was in a healthy situation, I didn't even recognize that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Because when we're in a negative space, sometimes we can't recognize what actually is good is going on around us.
Yeah.
And now, like, I love myself and I can look back on those situations and be like, oh, I could have changed that but we can't go back. So we just got to
Mm-mm.
stay in the present, right where we are, and not worry. Like, because I think that's where a lot of people's anxieties and stuff come from too, is like, oh, if I could have changed that.
Yes.
You just got this moment, man. The past is the past. Like, they're memories now,
That's it.
right? You
That's
want
it.
to change it in your thoughts. Pretend that it acted a different way,
Yeah.
right? So,
And one thing that's probably after a healing process, because it's not something that's always easy to do for everybody, but it's to learn to find the gratitude in your past.
yes,
Because if we didn't have the journey that we had, we wouldn't be where we are today. We wouldn't even be able to help, our children. So I don't have children of my own, but I have nieces, nephews,
right,
you know, even people who look up to me in my family or my friends, and we're impacting people just by who we are becoming,
right,
by learning and growing and loving ourselves. And and if it weren't for the past, and if it weren't for past Lana, past Sarah, we wouldn't have been here today, because those women made the decisions to explore themselves.
right. And like for me, it's also like because I was in such a dark space, and maybe my children didn't realize it, but I know they felt it.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're very intuitive that way. Like now they get to watch me grow and have watched me grow into this version of myself that I am today. And the ripple effect from that, just seeing how, I'm a stay-at-home mom who didn't have a job, and now I've written 3 books, and and just the confidence and stuff that I'm getting. And like my daughter's, she said the other day, like she's like, I'm so proud that you did this. And it's just like, but for her now, she knows she can do that.
That's so nice.
Right? Like, and even my son, I caught him reading my book, and I was just like, oh, like they're getting it. Like
Yes.
I don't have to wait for them to be in their 40s, because like I know what I know now, and now I feel like I have to share it with everybody else so that we can just create this huge ripple effect, right? Like that's what it's about, is
Yeah.
letting it just flow down and let all the generations that come next is not be in this space where we're waiting till we're old enough to figure out who we are. Like it just should be a lifelong journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a baseline where you can figure out, where okay, I actually know who I am now. Now it's just about
Yeah.
leveling up.
Yeah, for sure there is.
Yeah. So, okay, and this is actually really, really good, by the way. I'm really happy that you're sharing that. And one thing that I would really love is for you to maybe share a little bit more about your book. So we started with self-love.
Okay.
Self-love when was that one released?
That was released October 10th.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Like my
And that
book
was
promoter, he's
interesting.
like, I don't know anybody that puts out 3 books in 3 months. And I was like, well, you do now.
You do now.
It's happening.
I mean, you wrote your books in a very intuitive space, right? And your books are impacting people already. Everyone who's bought it has, has been touched by your books,
Yeah.
including your kids. And this is, I mean, it just says it all. It says it
Yeah.
all about the quality of the book, about the message that is in the book, and about the fact that you can really relate to people and help them and guide them along their journeys.
Yeah. Like you always think, oh, if I can help one person. And then I received a really beautiful message from this lady. Her daughter's like 22, but she has learning disabilities. So she has the
Mhm.
mentality of like a 16, 17-year-old.
Okay.
And she's like, my daughter doesn't read books. She's like, but she read your book and she loved it, right? And I was like in tears. I was like, I did it
Wow.
because it's supposed to be for like 8 to 12-year-olds, but everybody who reads it, it doesn't matter what age, like I've had grown women cry at my book because they're like, my inner child
So
needed this
nice.
book, right? Like
Ah, so
you
nice.
don't realize what we're missing until something triggers it. And they're like, oh, that was it, right? So my books just aren't for children because I really am hoping that while parents are trying to teach their children the benefit of self-love, that they might start their journey as well, right?
Yeah.
Like I really hope that that's what I'm hoping for these books.
That's amazing. It's a beautiful wish, and it's like you because you really care,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Also as a mom, as a woman and as a mom and as a, well, single mom now, also how important it is.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm really passionate about this, about teaching children early, about their personal growth. Like the journey needs to start early.
Yeah. And one thing I love about you being able to do that via a book is that the person can read it at their own pace.
Right.
They can, whenever they're reading it again, they could take on the information that's really important to them.
Yeah. And a
And
lot of the books, like I was searching for books for my daughter
mhm,
about love you and stuff like that. And I found some, but it was always a story. So it was like the little girl and an owl. And now my daughter's trying to decipher what are they talking about.
yeah,
Right. And I was like, why isn't it just written directly to her? So that's why I was like, I am going to write books directed to children as the first person, as the person that I'm speaking to, so
love
they
it.
understand it, because they want to be talked, like at that age they want to be talked to like adults
Yeah,
because they're past the baby stage, right? Like,
yeah,
and I love the fill your bucket and all that kind of stuff, but at the same time you're still trying to teach, you're not teaching them about themselves,
yeah, yeah.
right? So I just, a clear direct story, and that,
I love
or
it.
yeah, conversation, I guess it feels like more than
That's
the book.
amazing. That's so good. Yay! This is so
Oh.
beautiful. Um, okay, so your first book, Love
Yep.
You.
Yep.
Yeah. So would you like to elaborate on it a little bit more?
Yeah, it's just, you know, we're always taught growing up almost in a people pleasing method, is like, oh, you have to do this for somebody, or you have to do this for somebody. And we're taught, if we do things for people, that's how you get love. Or if you're
Yeah.
good enough, that's how you get love. If your grades are good, that's how you get love. But no, like this book teaches the first thing that somebody should learn is to love themselves first.
Hmm.
Nothing else matters. Just love who you are. And it's not selfish to love who you are. It's a beautiful thing to figure out who you are, because when you love yourself, you can be authentic with people and draw the right people to you. Not everybody's going to love you, and it doesn't matter as long as you love who you are. And that's what the book's about.
I love that. Okay, so the next book, The Good and the Bad, that book was released recently, right?
It was, yes. Yeah, like 2 weeks ago. So November 7th, it was just released. And yeah,
Cool. That's
yeah.
beautiful. And I love the designs, by the way. I love the graphics. Are there any graphics in the books?
Like I made it on Canva. So I really just like, I didn't want to put picture stories in it. More of like
Yeah.
emojis, what kids use, like
Yeah, it's beautiful.
um yeah, just like little,
Yeah, I love it.
not little
Yeah.
things, not not pictures. It's like
Yes.
just stuff like that.
Just a little bit of art. A little bit
Just
of
a
art.
little bit of art, but it is a personal development book, right? Like it's a personal growth book. It's not about the pictures.
Yeah.
So if they're missing that, they're missing the point. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I find sometimes when you have art, if there's something that, for example, that really resonates with you on a
Right.
page, and you know what
Yeah.
art it compares to, well, it
Right.
goes with, then actually that's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so The Good and the Bad. So what's that book about?
It's about healthy relationships. It's the good and the bad. It's about recognizing what's healthy in a relationship, like when people love and support you, but it's also like when people are gaslighting you, and they're toxic, and or trying to make excuses to be in a situation, and you're like, if you don't want to be in a situation, don't be in the situation. get
Yes.
yourself out of it, right? Have backups, or if you feel like you're in an uncomfortable situation, it's okay to say, I want to go home, right? Just little things like that where we don't have to people please. Again, it all comes down to people pleasing, a lot of it, right? Like we don't have to please everybody. Everybody doesn't have to like who we are as a person, and that's
Yeah.
okay. And we
Yeah.
don't have to like everybody. Can be kind, we can be respectful, but we need to set up boundaries with people,
Yes. I love
right?
that.
And that's what this book's about. And a lot of kids don't know that. A
Yes.
lot. My
Yeah.
daughter, I mean, I wrote the books for my daughter, but coming to her as a mom, kids
Mm-hmm.
don't want to listen to what mom's got to say, right? So I've got a lot of other people saying, oh, your books are so wonderful. And my daughter's like, oh yeah, mom, but I know she's getting it. It's slowly trickling down, which is beautiful. And yeah, but if we teach them now, they're going to go for the rest of their lives understanding what a healthy relationship is and not put themselves in situations that, the red flags are there and they're just like, oh, let's skirt past those, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Exactly. This is such a key component in relationships.
Well, it's the first thing we do as a baby is form a relationship with whatever guardian we have. That could be our mother
Yeah.
or adoptive parents or whoever, the nurse is there. Like it's the first thing we're instinctually do is to form a bond or a relationship with somebody. And that's where the fundamentals of our relationship building starts,
That's true.
right?
That's
Like if you're treated poorly as an infant, like that goes with you for your whole life, unless you can stop it and you can recognize why these things are happening.
yeah. And we mimic
Right.
also, right? We mimic our
Right.
parents, our surroundings, our teachers. And so if they teach us certain ways, then we will also mimic that and think that this is
Yeah.
the way.
But if it's unhealthy, we need to be able to recognize that and be like, oh, maybe I should be doing this a little bit different. And
Exactly.
that's okay.
Yeah. That's wonderful. Okay.
Mhm.
And then we have the last book for 2023, because I know that there's going to be more in 2024.
Yeah,
The last book in 2023 is about gratitude.
it is. I feel like the name lets it go, but it teaches like children's way to like cultivate gratitude mindset, how to just be like to embrace positivity and be in that feeling of gratitude all the times, ways they can do it, like just outside in nature, make a gratitude jar, like things like that, just ways that they can start appreciating it now so it just goes again throughout their whole lives, right?
Yeah.
And
And
it's so important.
doing it in an honest way, right?
Yeah.
Not just say I'm grateful for this and then just kind of, let
Right.
it
Like make
pass.
it part of who they are. You know what I mean? Like if we only could go back and be grateful throughout our whole lives, instead of feeling like it's a chore, it's
Yeah.
just part of our personality. Like it's just part of who we are. Like, oh, I'm so grateful, but to really mean it, because that's what they've been raised with is, oh, I really need to be super grateful for this, always being in the feeling of it instead of learning, like, right? Like we've been in a course where we've seen grown adults who don't know how to feel.
Yeah. Yeah. We numb our feelings. We learn to numb our feelings.
Yeah. And they don't know how to feel. So they're like, I don't know how to feel that. And it's
Yeah.
just like, oh, like a lot of times it's like looking at, there's some people that were in our program that were in their 70s, 80s. Like I think there's a lady in her 80s right now. And I was like, could you imagine getting to that age and
Yeah.
never knowing how to feel like that, right? Because you
Yeah.
blocked it for so long.
I
So
know.
that's like start them young, get
I
them in
know.
there.
Exactly. Exactly. That's it. And if an 80-year-old can change,
Yeah.
everybody
Well,
can
that's
change.
been like mind
Yeah.
blowing to me, where it's like you see
Yeah.
these older ladies change their lives so dramatically, and
I
you're
know.
like, if they're doing it, like there's no way I can't do it.
Exactly. That's it.
Right. So
Yeah.
yeah. So for people that think, oh, I'm too old, like never.
No, you're never too old. And they're so inspiring, right? Because they come
Yeah.
and they actually take it like by the I don't know how you call it, horns, by the
Yes. Let's say
horns.
horns.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out the expression. And they really go for it. And it's so
Yeah.
beautiful to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
just like having a kid do that throughout their whole lives, like, I don't know, just to
yes,
see the end result of that. Oh, so good.
it is. And you feel younger. You feel
Yeah.
younger once you learn to love yourself, once you learn how to create and have healthy relationships with people, and once you really embody gratitude in the right way,
Right.
like in a way that serves you rather than just, oh, I'm grateful because I got a happy birthday today or something. Yeah, okay,
Right.
but let's just be grateful for everything every day.
Right.
This is where the magic starts to happen.
Hmm.
This is
Yeah.
so wonderful, Sarah. Like I'm so grateful and honored to have you here and so
I'm
happy that you
grateful to
read
be
those
here.
magical books, right?
Yeah. No, I'm excited. Like, I am really passionate about teaching people this stuff because if we do start them young, like their
Yeah,
lifelong paths are going to
yeah,
be, I can't imagine if I had this as like an 8-year-old child, the different decisions I would have made growing up. It's
yeah.
just, and maybe it won't all sink in at once, but the books are there. They're there forever. They can read through them again and be with them or find a different teacher, because we're not always going to learn from
The same
exactly the
person.
same thing, but it might put in the seed to help
Yeah,
grow the interest in it so that they continually want to grow, right? Because
that's
I
it.
will always learn for the rest of my life. Like
Yeah.
that's just, yeah.
That's exactly it. That's so beautiful. And I love it because they're easy to read, right? They're not like super complex and they're very
Yeah.
directed and they're clear. And
Yes.
so there's no like trying to read in between the lines or
Exactly.
understanding the story. Yeah. Oh, this is so good. And at the beginning of our conversations, you were saying like, I am more than good enough. And
Yeah.
I don't know if I said it earlier, but you are not just more than good enough. You are wonderful. You are amazing, right?
Yeah.
And I think that um, what you're giving now to people through these books is going to be a dose of you, of who you are and your journey through it. And they're able to follow you and to follow your example and to be inspired by what you're doing.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I
Mhm.
do.
Yeah,
Like,
you're empowering people. Yeah, that's so wonderful. And so at the end of your journey, well, at the end of your journey at this point in time in your life,
right.
um, how is everything? How are your relationships with yourself, with your family, with your kids?
I with my kids is beautiful.
Hmm.
Very open, honest, vulnerable. I don't hold things back from them that for their age, age appropriate, obviously. I come at them as my authentic self, and that's beautiful. I co-parent with my ex, amazing. We get along perfect. Like we do things together still with the children. If there's none of that fighting, that conflict, because it's just about the kids, right? Like you need to be able to put yourself aside. And also now I know I can come from a different perspective and see, you know, different ways to handle things,
Hmm.
right? I don't have to be always in a conflict or defense or any of that anymore, which is beautiful. I
Yeah.
have a beautiful group of friends. I mean, I met you, so you're pretty
Yes.
great. But you align with different people, right? There's been a lot of relationships I've lost. I'm not gonna lie. Like when I separated, I lost a lot of my relationships with people because of that choice.
Yeah.
But I know now from my perspective, like there was always them thinking things would be awkward. It's awkward for you. It's not awkward for me,
Yeah.
right? Like, and that's okay. And I've come to accept that I can't make everybody like me and I can't do any of that. But now I attract such beautiful people into my life,
That's it.
right? And people show up the way I need them to show up
Yeah.
because I expect it. Because
Yeah.
I love myself enough to know that the people coming in are going to be awesome because I'm
Oh,
awesome.
that's so good. I love it.
Yeah,
Oh, that's so good. And so, you've basically created a lifelong love affair with yourself, haven't
I
you?
do. I love myself so much, and that's so weird for me to even say sometimes, but it's so true, and I will never stop learning how to love myself more, because
Mhm.
it's not just something you get to and you're like, "Oh, I love myself." No,
Mhm.
you need to grow with the self that you are in this time, but
Yeah.
there's always gonna be that version of yourself, that you're like, "Oh, I could probably love myself a little more if I work on this," and we're always working on ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, we're human people having a human experience, and we need to understand that we have all these emotions. We can't always be happy and cheery in every single minute,
No.
but we can get through those minutes a lot quicker
Yes,
when
we
we
can.
right? Like, once we understand that we love ourselves enough, and then we can sit in that situation and be like, is this how I want to react right now? Is this what I need for myself to be the best version of who I am? And we're going to learn from that experience, right? Like, you get ticked off because somebody cut you off in a car lane. Are you really mad at that person because maybe they're in a rush, like an actual rush. Maybe they've got somewhere to be, like, or they're hurt and they need help, or somebody else does. Like, you don't know where they're coming from their perspective. So just be like, "Ooh, that sucked," but move on. Stop
Yeah.
sitting in the feeling of that. And I think that's what a lot of people do. They want to sit in the anger or sit in all of that, but you don't need to. Just love yourself, right?
Yeah. Just love yourself.
Just love
And
yourself and grow.
exactly. Even
Yeah,
if the car is doing it because that's how they are. That's just how they
yeah,
are.
that's how
Right?
they are. Yeah,
Yeah.
don't let that
You
shit
just
affect you.
yeah, exactly. That's amazing. And I love it. So and you've got the word love behind you,
Oh
right?
yeah,
On your wall, which yeah, I saw it earlier and I was like, oh, she's embodied that.
I,
And I know
I
you have,
have.
yeah. I know you
Yeah,
also I feel it, I know it. Whenever we talk,
yeah. I
it's
did not show up like this when we first started Millionaire, right?
no,
Like, I was just not this person. Like,
no,
there was a lot of tears all the time. There's
yeah,
I had some stuff to work through. A lot of self worth. A lot of um,
absolutely.
realizing who I was as a person,
Yeah,
and being okay with and accepting who I was, and receiving love from other people. I had blocked that. Like, I
yeah,
literally didn't know how to receive love properly.
yeah,
Now I know, like, love's just like, if you just love will come to you, and
yeah.
be open to it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I think a lot of us block it so hard because we're not getting it the way we want it,
Yes.
right? But just being you don't have to put how you want it. Like, it's like, you don't need to know the how, right?
No,
Like, just accept that there's love around you. And I think that opens the world too, right? Like,
exactly.
I blocked it. I know I blocked a lot of it. And now I'm just open. I'm open to receive. I'm
Yeah,
open to love. And I'm open to love myself more and more every day.
that's it. You're open to compliments, you're
Yeah,
open to
I'll take it.
laughter and joy. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Oh, I love this. This is so wonderful. And I'm so happy that we got to do this podcast together. And I'm so happy that you got to share your gifts with the world.
I'm happy you had me. Thank
That.
you.
Yeah. And if for anyone who's on their love affair journey, whether you're with a partner or single, I highly encourage you to grab one of Sarah's books. And there's journals also that go with it. So you could
Yeah.
also get your journal. I'm going to link all of your Instagram account and your Amazon links to buy the books in the show notes.
Thank you.
Are there any
Love
other
that.
social media accounts or is it just that?
I have like Facebook, um, TikTok, and Twitter, but I don't really use Twitter. Forget about it.
Okay.
Most of the time.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll link your Instagram account, your Amazon links for the books, which
Yeah.
I encourage every single person here to buy, even if it's just for your kids or for a friend or nieces and nephews. Um, and I'll add also your TikTok account as well in
Right.
there or any other social media links that you have. Okay.
Sounds good.
We'll do it that way. Thank
Yeah.
you so much, Sarah. I am so grateful that you came. This was a freaking amazing podcast
Yay.
and filled with nuggets and the real you.
It's me.
And
That's what you
yeah,
get.
and that's what I love. That's what I love. That's why I love you. I love you
Yeah,
because
love
you
you
are
too.
you.
That's right.
Exactly. All right. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
If you like this episode, I would love for you to rate it and leave a comment on the platform of your choice. This will help the podcast reach more people and help more people find true love. You can also share this podcast with anyone you think would benefit from it. I also welcome any suggestions or questions that you would like me to address on my podcasts. All of my links are in the show notes below. Have a wonderful day, and remember that you can truly create the lifelong love affair you desire and deserve to have. To your happily ever after, Lana.